This is another time with Captain Brian aboard the Southernese, and today we'll explain the cockpit, the helm of the boat to you.
This is technically what you'd call the bridge. This is not a bridge that takes you to another city or over a river. This is the bridge that takes you over the oceans. Basically, you start with a helm, the wheel. It is totally different than working a tiller because you get to steer it the way you want to go. When you got a tiller, you got to steer the opposite to get the boat to go. Kind of confuses a lot of people. But the compass is obviously the #1 navigation aid. This is a very old compass, and because it's so old, I like to keep it, even though we have a lot of electronic games in here. One of the things that you always try to keep in the bridge, not only during the day when you see things from long distance, but also being able to see at night, is a very high quality Steiner binoculars. They actually really help you to see through the night. I've been on big boats that have night vision, and the night vision doesn't work as good as a good pair of German Steiners that are able to collect enough light and allow you to see into the dark. The other important part of it is the navigation system, and this is actually a chart plotter, and it can tell you the speed, the course you're going, where you want to go, and you actually can punch off where you want to go, and it'll point the way. And the one stripe telling you where you should be going, and the black stripe telling you where you are going. Sort of like midterm grades, if you know what I mean. But the speed indication here, and actually if I had changed the charting, it would tell us a whole lot of other information. One of them is we still have 11.5 nautical miles to get into where we want to go. So that gives you a whole different type of thing than when I started, where you basically ran a compass and you said this is Newport over here, or this is an island over here, and you'd draw it on a map and you'd guess you were somewhere within 100 miles of where you think you could be. Now it tells you within feet of where you are. Actually, it's a technology that Ronald Reagan gave to the to sailors, after the disaster of a Korean airplane being destroyed by the Russians. It's GPS. And it was designed so we could put cruise missiles in people's laps that we didn't like. Now we're able to sail around the world safely knowing where we are. So thank you, Ronald Reagan, wherever you are now. The other thing here with this is that we have our winches that handle different sails. This is actually for the staysail, the little sail that you didn't see much of, but you will hear about it. And it helps control that. This winch over here actually handles for the main sheet and for the roller reefing line that rolls up the big Genoa, and so those work out here. And the other little secrets that I've added into the system is the controls for the electric motors, and the electric motors actually have their own system that I put in. It's actually a lot of computerized technologies here. They wait to be booting up, then they tell you, okay, we're ready to go. And by the indication of these gauges, I can actually indicate how much power I'm pulling by the amps, and how much the speed is by the RPMs. And both of those will work on that. The trouble is with this technology is the guys who develop it never thought about boaters using it, and so at night you get night blindness if these gauges were on. So Captain Brian was smart enough to use the techniques he learned as a little kid to sew up quivers, little places where you could put your arrows. So I didn't have a little sister to sew for me, and my mother was busy doing her accounting business. I learned to sew, so I sewed up a cover so that at night I have a red cover that keeps me from getting my night blindness. And that is one of those little tricks that just comes with age and a lot more rum than anyone should drink.
Although Captain Brian is very creative, figuring out things like that, he always forgets how to adapt the brightness of this monitor. So he always needs me to bring the brightness down to just a few % during the night, because otherwise, although he won't get blind because of that. Here's another very bright screen.
See, I've actually developed a very high-tech answer to the problem with that. I take an old t-shirt and throw it over the top of it. That takes care of the problem. So that's basically the layout. We've actually got the wedge handle to handle this. But one of the most important things of keeping a happy captain in the bridge operating the system is to make sure that you have the proper facilities for entertainment, like a good cup holder. You can play music, but mostly keeping a rum drink well accessible to be able to keep the attitudes positive. From Captain Brian's boat on Southernese and with the gentleman from Bavaria, I'll sign off and say, keep sailing and keep the shiny side up.